Hello there, and welcome to Warley Woods' take on the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch, which is happening this month between the 29th of January and the 31st. Please get involved. Trustee Liz Coleman and myself thought it'd be great if we could take a walk around Warley Woods and show you some of the bird life that we have here in celebration of the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch. We took a recording of our walk and our musings as we were walking around, and we have some photos to show you too of what we saw. I met up with Liz to recreate the Big Garden Birdwatch Walk she usually does for Warley Woods. It was a cold morning and the fog was hanging low in the air. First, let's hear from Liz Coleman, who will give you a brief introduction about why we're doing it.
Hello, welcome to Warley Woods. I'm Liz Coleman and I'm one of the trustees at Warley Woods, and since 2007 I've been leading a bird walk to coincide with the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch. Unfortunately, because of coronavirus and the restrictions, we're not able to do that this year, so I've enlisted the help of Doug, Wild Warley Barber.
I'm here, on the camera.
He's on the camera, socially distanced, and we've walked around the site. We're walking around the site, seeing what we can see, and helping capturing some of the birds that are in Warley Woods, to give you a flavour of what's here, and a little bit of our excitement as when we see something that we're particularly keen to see. So I hope you enjoy listening to us, seeing some of Doug's photos and finding out what there is in Warley Woods, and hopefully when it's right to do so, you'll be back out here and carrying on with the bird watching. We'd also encourage you to take part in the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch, and there'll be information on the website about that and on Facebook, and that takes place on the 29th to the 31st of January. You can do that from the comfort of your own home, just as Doug and I will be sitting there, cups of tea, piece of toast, and spending an hour counting the birds in your garden. So that'll be really, really great to do.
And we'd love to hear what you see. So please do post on the chat, on the Facebook page. We'd love to hear how you get on.
Brilliant. Yeah, and do please keep sending us in your pictures of the bird life in Warley Woods, your sightings, and if you really want to get involved, there's information about how you can record that on the Birmingham Black Country Wildlife Trust Eco Record site, either through Facebook or through their website again. So really, we hope you enjoy this flavour of some of the birds of Warley Woods. We've seen some lovely things, and we hope you enjoy our experience.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
We started our walk not that far from the car park, and already within the first few minutes there were the rapturous sounds of parakeets echoing through the trees.
Oh, parakeets shooting across.
They sound just like squeaky. Oh, there's some more, look.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the parakeets, don't they?
Everyone does love the parakeets. And they do sound like squeaky dog toys, like you were about to say.
Yeah.
Very easy to recognise from that. A little blackbird foraging on the ground. Lovely. Try and get a photo of some of these parakeets. And of the blackbird, of course.
Yeah. And often I find, like, if you hear rustling in the undergrowth, that's quite often the blackbird.
Yeah, and you often get the alarm call, don't you, as you disturb it. There's the blackbird. Nice male blackbird we've got foraging in front of us.
There's a see the parakeet there. I'm going to keep my list as I'm going along, because that's what I would have done if I was doing the walk with everybody else.
Yeah.
I'd have got everyone to keep a list of what they saw, and then we total it up and see who's got the highest for each thing, and that's the one we send in.
That's the way to do it. Of course, if you're doing this at home, you'd probably be sat up in one position, wouldn't you, watching your feeders or something, and
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying to have a conversation here. Yeah, you'd just be sat up, wouldn't you, in one position, probably just recording what you see in your garden, coming to your feeders or your favourite bird spot.
That's right. I always sit in the upstairs bedroom and I've got like cups of tea lined up in a flask with biscuits and everything, all sorted, nice high seats, so I can spend. You've got
to be ready for the hour, haven't you?
Yeah.
Need to make preparations.
female blackbird down here. Really close she is. In the undergrowth.
If I can get an angle. Oh, yeah, I can just about see her.
Well, we were down there the other day, Emma and I did a walk round here and we saw a redwing in this patch.
Oh, in here?
Yeah.
Because I've often seen. Oh, there you go. There's a blackbird flying off. I often see them around the rose gardens in the yews and the other kind of like berry providing trees there. I think all of the berries are gone now off the yews, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw them this year. They were all in there, and there was one of our regular Warley Wooders looking at them. I was going, what are you looking at? It's loads and loads of redwing in there. They must have, and with those, often you see one, and then you can hear them doing a little contact calls, and a whole load of them come over.
Now, I was wondering, do you know, it seems to be like when I was trying to actually photograph the redwing, because I went on 3 separate occasions to actually finally get the photo that I got, there always seemed to be a song thrush hanging around with them, and I got very excited thinking, oh, I've got a photo of a redwing. And then when I looked back on my camera, I just noticed that it was actually a song thrush, and it was just like teasing me. Yeah. The redwings are a lot more shy, aren't they? They hide away, and then I think the thrushes seem to just hang around with them as they're kind of like birds of a kin, aren't they?
That's a good thing, because the redwing is so good at finding the berries, aren't they? That if I was a self-respected songster, I'd go, well, follow these guys, they know what to do.
Bit of extra friendly protection, and and berries around for you.
I mustn't discount the crows when I'm doing my count, so we've got about, on the meadow, favourite place for the crows. We've got about 8 at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Couple behind us, 8.
Now, when you were doing the, because you did the breeding bird surveys in 2020, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
This was a hot spot for crows, wasn't it, on the meadow?
It was, and but it also depended on how many dogs were running around on the meadows. Because one morning there weren't any, because there was a lot of dogs, and the other morning, there was plentiful food source on the meadow, and they were all there, and they do dig away at some of the insect life that's hidden in the grass, don't they? Leather jackets and the like.
Yeah.
But there's another 4 there, so make that number up to 12 now, because there's another 4
Oh yeah, there's another 4 sat in that oak there.
Yeah.
Can we get a bit of a photo of them?
Yeah, that would be good. Looks quite spooky, crows in an oak tree.
I know. We're just wandering aimlessly at the moment, aren't we? It's good.
We definitely head over to the rose garden there as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
A good sword.
Oh, did you see those 3 up in the alder there?
Yeah, that's 3 crows. That makes my crow total 15. They usually top in terms of numbers. And the thing with these smaller birds, I found that when I was doing the breeding bird survey, was that we might only see 3, but they're so fast moving and so well camouflaged that you can't always see them, can you? Whereas crows, very obvious.
Yeah, I think always the smaller birds are heavily underrepresented in any sort of bird survey you're doing, particularly like the really shy ones. Like, you'll often not see things like Goldcrest, or they're the UK's smallest bird, but then they've got quite a distinctive call though, haven't they?
Yeah, very, very high pitched, and usually when we do this bird walk in January, which I've been doing since 2007 now, and that's usually one of my key species to try and find. So when we get up to the rose garden, which we're coming up to now, I usually send people off in all directions to go, right, go and find, and we play them the call. This is what it sounds like, see if you can find one.
Yeah.
And with lots of people sort of looking, we do usually spot some, but they're very tiny and they just sort of behave like mice.
They're very kind of like, they're not very still for very long. It makes it a nightmare to try and photograph, to be honest. They're always moving.
Yeah. Look, there's a nuthatch.
Oh yeah, wow. So we just spotted a nuthatch on. Oh, he's just flown off.
Oh,
before we could get a photo.
Get a picture,
no.
but you definitely...
Oh, something's flying in. What's that?
Another one. Definitely one nuthatch. That's good.
They're another one that's sometimes quite easy to overlook and not spot. So, magpie just flown off.
Okay, magpie on my list.
You had quite a nice story, didn't you, about when you were doing the breeding bird survey? Didn't you see a family of wrens fledgling?
Oh, that was amazing. And and up near Abbey School they were in the brambles, which sort of shows you that the value of having these patches of brambles, really. But we were just walking along the route that you sort of mapped out for us around the site, so we did the same every time, and we just couldn't believe it was going on. Well, last time we were here we saw sort of wrens and we saw blackcaps as well, so we were like being quite alert, and then there's a wren there we're going, and then literally they just flashed out of the nest before our very eyes. All these,
that is really nice.
Really, my friends and I, she lives on Barclay Road and often walks in the woods, but she said, oh, you'd see all these lovely birds, Liz, but I never really see them. I says, well, the thing is, come for a walk with me and we'll sort of tell you what to listen out for, because that's if you know some of the calls and you know what to expect, and it tunes you into where the bird is. So I've never seen a woodpecker. She's lived here sort of 30 years. Never seen a woodpecker. We came onto the meadow from Barclay Road,
yeah,
and there's one there on the ground, great spotted woodpecker.
Oh.
And that was a fledgling as well, Doug, so don't get doubly jealous. Then there's another one come out the nest, and another one, and another, so we had 4. We're like, there you go then.
Yeah, that's good. Some people say that the fledgling great spotted woodpecker looks a bit similar, could be easily confused with the lesser spotted, but it's a very, very rare bird, isn't it, in the UK? It's seriously in the climate, it prefers wet woodlands, I think, but it's about the size, bit bigger than a sparrow, is it?
Yeah,
sparrow size-ish?
Yeah.
So,
hefty sparrow.
A hefty sparrow.
One or two of those in my garden.
I found the great spot's quite a distinctive call, because generally either you hear drumming in the spring, or you'll hear a single sharp cheep.
Yeah, and it's quite a metallic cheep, really. I think this is a crack to it somehow. I don't know. I have brought, you know, for aid purposes, and I'd normally do this where there's sort of 30 people on the walk. I'd bring a few of these. I only bought the one today because it's just me and you, Doug.
Oh, so expect you to carry all the kit around. Oh, okay.
So I brought my RSPB squeaky bird that makes the right noise, and this is a green woodpecker.
Wow. So you see, that bird's often also called the yaffle, isn't it? That's one of its common names, and that's because it's, well, I think it sounds like it's laughing at you, doesn't it, almost? So that's an easy one to identify by bird song.
It is, and yesterday I was walking in the woods and we could hear that really clearly. Again, you know where to look. Right, there it goes.
It's become a bit of the bane of my life, actually, that call from that bird. I've been trying to photograph a green woodpecker here since I started, and I've obviously heard it a few times calling on site, following around, and could I ever get a photo? Of course not. So I just hear that laughing call flying away from me.
Mocking you, Dad.
Mocking me, exactly, from a distance. We got there. There's a redwing just popped up into that tree. I think so. Such a treat to see, but we've only seen one at the moment. They usually hang around in flocks, don't they?
Yeah, and you usually hear them doing a little contact call, and one will then come over when they find a good food source.
Do you know what I haven't seen around here for a while? I haven't seen a bullfinch.
Well, I was really lucky yesterday, Doug, and I saw 6.
6?
In the wilderness.
Oh, God.
So, you know, we're going to be heading that way in a couple of minutes.
I hope.
So I can't promise. But I
want promise. I want assurances. I'm out now with one of the bird experts of Warley Woods. I need. Oh, there's a great spot woodpecker on this tree. Can you see the main stem? Heading up, he's on slightly to the left. The left foot where it forks is on the left. He's going up. Can you see? It's just popped round. Well, I'm glad we've ticked that one off.
Yeah, I'm pleased, because they're always a key species for us to spot. And the beauty
just flown off. They've got a distinctive flight, haven't they?
The dipping flight, and that's a key as well.
Couple of flaps and a dip.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you?
No, I was going to say that the beauty of doing this walk at this time of year is many of the trees are just bare, aren't they? And it's easy to spot things like a woodpecker without the foliage on. And I think that was one of the original ideas around the RSPB doing this Big Garden Birdwatch, was to get people in the winter to just sit in their homes and see what there is there.
Do you have the bird as Tourette's? Like when you're out with your friends or something, you see something and you just have to shout the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
we heard you, Doug, on the radio. It was brilliant. Oh no, I was going. My friend's going.
Oh, there's a rat.
Oh yeah. also better.
There's definitely small mammals in Warley Woods, and there's one scurrying away.
And I think, because we've got owls here as well, and we're not going to see any today, but with the small owls you can hear them of a night time, and we're pretty sure that they're not breeding here, they're breeding very locally, because they're seen here so frequently.
I'm sure Liz had meant to promise me I'd see a bullfinch in the wilderness. Anyway, that's what I heard. We're about to take our next step up the steps towards the wilderness to begin the next part of our walk. Enjoy.
We're coming up some wilderness here.
Coming up the slightly slippy steps. Should hopefully be starting a project to put the water back in the wilderness element of Wild Warley soon.
It's a good place to stop again, because there's lots of things flitting around usually in the wilderness, and just stopping and for a minute and having a scan around to see what you can see. And this is where I saw the bullfinches yesterday, so
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed.
I guess it's quite nice for us because it's almost surrounded of almost like hedges on all sides, isn't it? And so these small birds love the hedgerows.
But you see this in this bramble straight ahead.
Oh yeah, there's the female.
Yeah, and the males just they are usually together, and there is one just to the left.
The male's got that lovely kind of like peachy pink breast, hasn't it?
Yeah, there he is. Look.
Oh,
You just catch a glimpse through those. Oh, look, he's just stunning.
I know, they're one
of
of
my favourite.
such a beautiful bird, aren't they?
Yeah. But you know what they. Oh, there you go.
Go on,
The tree.
sit up somewhere nice for me to take a photograph.
They go in his rubbish song. I mean, he looks beautiful, but he can't sing. He just sort of goes a bit of a pathetic.
Is that it there that we hear? The
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Liz. That's another bird ticked off that I've seen here, and I think I've got my ear in now to identify that one by bird song too. So
Yeah, that's what we did yesterday. We could hear one. I couldn't hear it.
you can still hear him calling.
Yeah, there's two though. There's one over here. And then...
I think this is one of my.
There you go, look, top of that tree. Is that one?
Oh yes, I think you might be right. I can definitely see a.
Yeah, there's round bullfinch.
Actually chuffed about that. Got a half decent, well, hopefully half decent photo of a bullfinch now.
That's right, it is.
Awesome.
Exactly where I saw them yesterday.
Is it?
Exactly.
Well, there you go, guys. The bullfinches are hot in the wilderness at the moment. Oh, there's the female. So the female's very similar to the male, except it's got more of a kind of, what would you describe it? It's like a mauve almost, or?
It's like sepia. It's like a sepia photo, one of those Victorian photos.
Ah.
The pattern's the same.
That's a nice
But,
way to
yeah.
think about it, yeah.
And obviously, you know, for camouflage purposes, that's probably the best idea.
So that tends to be the way, doesn't it, with birds? They tend to be, the male is more attractive, bright and beautiful and trying to win a mate, whereas the female's very much more kind of like cryptic and trying to be able to hide on her nest, so she doesn't have the flashy colours that the males tend to have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'd love to see on this walk? I'm going to say it now because you've done so well on the bullfinches. I'd love to see a tree creeper, Liz. Love to see a tree creeper. Let's just put that out there into the...
We were really lucky on the breeding birds because I came across a friend as I was doing it. She said, "Oh, I'd really like to see a tree creeper." And we went to yards, and she walked along with us. And in the summer, and looked at yards. I said, "Oh, there's one there," but I don't think that's going to happen, Doug.
No, they're very, very
Very
tricky to spot. Tend to be on like trees with, they're like
the older trees, don't
the
they?
older
With
trees. Yeah.
with the rugged bark, where
Yeah.
the insects have got plenty of insects to hide in that that rugged bark there.
Yeah, they're primarily insectivorous, aren't they? So they eat predominantly insects. Some birds eat a lot more seeds and stuff, but they I think they do have a preference for the little bugs, don't they?
Yeah.
So bullfinches, tick.
Yep.
Tree creeper.
Yeah.
Come
Not
on.
yet.
Come on.
We haven't got a goldcrest yet though, so I'm like more hopeful of us getting one of those.
I think we've got more chance of getting a gold crest. We might have to swing back through the rose gardens.
Yes. Always have a look at the golf course just in case the mizzle thrushes are there.
Yeah, I know.
They really like the golf course. There's a couple of pairs.
Would you say that's the difference between the missile and the song thrush? Or?
It's one of the characteristics, I think. You're more likely to see the missile thrush on the open areas like the meadow and the golf course particularly. Whereas your song thrush is more likely to be in the trees and the bushes and the undergrowth. A little bit darker as well in plumage, a little bit smaller.
I think the missile thrush tends to look a bit more upright, doesn't it? It looks like it's a bit better at standing almost.
Yeah, and it's sort of got quite a bouncy, and that's another thing. When you see one, it's got quite a bouncy way of moving. It's sort of like jumps.
Yeah, they do. They tend to like bounce along, don't they? Have a little forage, dig around in the mud, and then bounce along to the next spot.
Yeah. They've got like, I think on the golf course they'd be like Rory McIlroy when he's having a good day. He walks the bounce, and so does a missile thrush.
With the excitement of the bullfinches still at the forefront of our minds, we exited the wilderness down the path heading towards the back of the rose garden. We speculated on what we might see, hoping we'd find the ever-elusive goldcrest.
This is like one of almost the hidden gems of Warley Woods. We go on about the wilderness, but this bit we're about to kind of like go past has really been left to nature. It's got quite a lot of bramble in it in the summer. There's a lot of nettles which are great for the butterflies. It's a really hot spot for other invertebrates too. I've seen good hoverflies down this area in the summer. Obviously you won't see any of them right now, but
And it's interesting, Doug, because you're stopping at all the places that when I do the bird walk, you've not been on my bird walk ever, but you're stopping at all the same key places. And again, you get a really good view. It's like a bowl, isn't it, leading down to the playground. And jays I'd be looking for around here in particular. We haven't seen one yet. Again, lovely to see them. And this is a bit
wood pigeons coming in.
Yeah.
Got that distinctive wing flap. That's characteristic of them, isn't it? They make a kind of that kind of sound.
There's a couple in the tree there, I think, as well, wood pigeons.
Do you know what I saw the other day? I was up here and I saw a pair of stock doves, so we haven't ticked them off yet.
I haven't.
Tend to be quite a quiet bird though, don't they, the stock dove?
And easily confused with a feral pigeon.
Yeah.
I think that Matt, who normally comes and helps us out with the bird walk, he's really keen on the stock dove, and he's pointed them out to me sort of years ago. And again, they're in that old ancient woodland up near Abbey Road. It's often you see them nesting in sort of a broken bit of a
they're hole nesters, aren't they? But they're obviously quite a large bird, so they kind of tend to prefer where big limbs have come off the tree or splits. The stock dove compared to the feral pigeon, though, that tends, I think the kind of like pearlescence of the on the feral pigeon kind of like continues down onto the breast, whereas on the stock dove it's very localised to just kind of like the nape of the neck almost, isn't it? It's just kind of like at the side and round. So this is a good area sometimes for, I've definitely seen goldcrest in here. We're just approaching kind of like the back end of the rose gardens. There's a fair few coniferous trees here, and I've certainly seen goldcrest here in the past flitting around between the shrubs.
This is the first place I ever volunteered in Warley Woods.
Oh, was it here?
Yeah. And there was a little work party doing some clearance on a path, and I was walking around and sort of had a chat.
Ah, it's nice. We've had
some practical work, restoring all of these pathways and things, and planting some of the wildflowers.
So were you involved with uncovering the old ice house, or was that did that happen before or after you were sort of?
It was around about that time.
Around that time.
Certainly on this pathway.
I do find that element of Warley Woods great. I think it's a great site, partially because of the wildlife, but also just the amount of kind of like history we actually have here anyway. Be able to walk around a site that has got like an old ice house that's buried is quite,
It is.
It's almost National Trust like, isn't it?
It's two of my greatest loves, really, history and wildlife. That's, you know,
Tied together here in
tied
one
together
place.
in one spot.
Still on the hunt for the gold crest. There's something tacking away. I'm sure it could be a wren, couldn't it? Or... Did you hear it?
Yeah, I saw a wren on the way into the woods this morning. Beautiful.
So that's the thing I find confusing about listening to bird song. They often have multiple calls, don't they? So
Yeah.
you should get used to one, and then you find out you have to learn a whole new plethora of other ones that we've got like.
And the worst one for that, or the best, one of the most versatile birds, I suppose we should say, is the great tit, which is, you know, very distinctive. Teacher, teacher, teacher call.
Yeah.
But has up to 40 odd different sounds in its repertoire.
Blimey.
So, yeah, even Bill Oddie used to say, well, if I hear something in the woodland and I don't know what it is, I think it's a great tit.
That's good. What are the easily recognisable ones? We've got songfishes tend to mimic their environment, don't they? So you've got they'll kind of like imitate car alarms, burglar alarms, all sort of things like that. But the way to tell them is they tend to repeat the phrase 2 to 3 times, don't they? And then they'll change it up. Sometimes they'll go back to it if they really like that particular phrase. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a poem, I think it's Robert Browning saying that, saying, you know, says the same phrase twice because it's so good. And the songfish. Yeah. The woodpecker.
Is that the tapping?
Yeah.
Do we think this is in this nice sweet chestnut here?
Potentially.
I mean, this chestnut is riddled with holes from previous woodpecker nests.
Yeah. And often a nuthatch will use a woodpecker hole, and it makes it smaller as it's a smaller bird. So it for security reasons, it does the edge of the hole, fills it in with mud to make it a smaller hole.
So we're desperately staring at a yew tree, trying to spot a gold crest that's in it somewhere potentially.
That's a nuthatch again.
There's a nuthatch, but around us we have a cacophony of other birds.
Blackbird alarm call.
And there's the crow chirping into. Oh.
Shot out there, I think that's a great tip.
Great tits can be told from blue tits by they've got a black cap and then a black stripe running centrally down their breast, don't they?
That's right, a really, really distinctive black stripe going down, and you can actually tell the male and female apart because the black stripe is much wider on a male.
Oh really? I didn't know
It's like
that.
a motorway.
Oh right.
It was like a motorway on a male and like an A road on the female.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
You obviously have to be able to sort of compare.
Yeah, it'd be good to have two side by side.
Yeah, but you can't, once you get your eye in over time, you can.
To be honest, I had thought I had seen, now thinking back, I do remember kind of like seeing ones, I was like, well, that's quite a small, I just assumed it was just like natural sort of bit of variation, but I didn't realise that was how you could tell the male and the female. It's fantastic. And then not to be mistaken for the coal tit, I saw one of those the other day, by the way, but they seem to have like a black cap on the head, but there is no black stripe running all the way down their breast.
No, and they're more sort of muted colours really, like a taupe underneath colour.
Yeah.
And again, this area of the rose garden, you do get coal tits around here. I like they've got like a stripe on their heads as well, so it's a bit like a badger. It's got the black stripe in the middle and then the two white bits either side.
Well, I saw the coal tits. It was up by the pavilion actually. Is that Jay?
It is.
Oh, can you see it?
I can't see
I can
it.
hear
I
it.
can hear it, but it's definitely a jay. It's called a jay, so.
They're noisy buggers, aren't they?
Yeah. Quite a harsh sound.
Quite hard, for quite a very, well, I think a very attractive bird
stunning,
actually.
yeah.
Probably one of the most beautiful of the corvids. They've got a very unceremonious sort of call, haven't they? It's, I guess, true of most corvids actually. They don't really have particularly nice calls, do they?
I wonder if we can spot them.
I think I've seen a pair hanging around in these sort of trees in this area. So.
Yeah,
This is probably their territory up here, isn't
I
it?
would imagine it is. Again, just we've got the stones here.
Oh yeah.
By the stone sculpture, and that's a good spot to stand and watch the jays, I reckon.
What's that? Is that the jay there? Or is that? Oh no, magpie. Magpies.
But I have seen jays around this bit as well. Keep your eyes open. It's
Still might see the goldcrest
you
yet.
never know.
This sort of evergreen hedge, holly and yew and various other things, can be quite good for the goldcrest. I have seen them around this area.
So you've been doing some work on the hedges, haven't you, Doug, around the bottom of the golf course there?
Yeah,
Some of the volunteers.
we have. Yeah, we've trying to kind of like revitalise that bit of woodland. There's been a kind of encroachment of cherry laurel there, which is kind of dominating the understory. It's kind of stifling the regeneration of woodland there. So we plan to remove all of that because it's a non-native, quite invasive species, and then we'll underplant with some more native species such as hazel, and then put in some ground floor as well. So I'll help the early foragers like the bees and that. So things like primroses, and try and get some wood in and maybe even try and get the bluebells started again there.
Yeah.
So it'd be great.
A few little patches of wood anemones and bluebells down that area, isn't it? But it would be lovely to see them, those sort of spread and expand down there.
Oh, parakeet flying over. Distinctive long tails that they've got there.
And they fly very straight.
Very straight, yeah. It's almost like an arrow or something, isn't it? Or
yeah.
oh wow, there's a lovely patch of woodland deer up in this tree. Take a photo of that for you guys. You see all that? Yeah, that's a woodland deer.
Okay.
Tends to grow on elder, but here it's growing on. What is this growing on it? It looks like it is a horse chestnut, but I'm not 100% sure.
But I mean, again, having these dead trees, the standing deadwoods, you've got all of there's habitat for all sorts of insects and birds and fungus growing on it, moss-like, and all of those things are part of the biodiversity that we've got here, aren't they?
It's a bit of the circle of life, isn't it? Really, I mean, you've got and food webs. You've got things like the hoverfly. Certain hoverfly will use rot holes high up in trees, and they'll lay their rat-tailed maggots in there. And then things like, woodpeckers and other birds might forage on them and eat them, and you can just see how it all feeds into each other. And the beetles will be under the bark of some of these, dead trees. That's what the woodpeckers come and peck along and try and get at. So it's all important. If you don't have that habitat here, you don't have birds like the great spot here. You don't have things like some of the hoverflies that we've got here. And that's something that we do really great here at Warley Woods. Is actually we leave a lot of standing deadwood, whereas other places that are managed a bit more extremely, I guess, would cut out any deadwood that's there. That's not good for wildlife,
No.
Actually, I'm currently working on a winter tree ID course. It was going to be a walk, and that's obviously had to change, but now I'm going to be doing, well, I've actually half prepared a video that I'm going to be uploading that will be helping take you through some of the deciduous trees that we have here at Warley Woods, some of the common species you're likely to see.
That's really helpful, because I'm fine when the tree's got a leaf on it. I'm pretty good, and but
Yeah, well, hopefully this will help give a few tips, and there will be a leaflet that you can download from the Trust website, so you can take it out with you. So if you're a bit unsure, you can consult your leaflet, and then.
So you can be looking at
Oh yes, so there's three main things. I've made it, trying to make it a bit simple. So I've done three areas. It's going to be the bark of the tree, the buds of the tree, and then I've selected one other feature, and that could be something like, say, beech have they have like persistent dead leaves that tend to stay on them throughout the winter. So that could be a feature, or it could be, say, like we just mentioned, that elder often has woodland ear growing on it. So that's one of the features that I put for elder trees. It just gives you an extra hint. So if you get stuck, if you think you're there with the buds and the bark, but you're not sure, if you spot one of these other extra features, it might just help you go, yeah, that is it. So yeah.
So this is some sort of oak.
That is an oak. And you can see it's got the a lot of oaks have persistent leaves on them too.
That's the one you would want.
Well, that's perfectly right. You know, use whatever thing. I mean, some of the features that I've got is literally like, look on the ground, because some of the leaves have got high in tannins, so they tend to stick around a lot through the winter. Yeah. So why not? I mean, you don't have to just do it on buds just because it's a winter tree. I'd use all of the information you've got available to you to help you figure out what the tree is.
We could do.
And now time for a shameless plug. If you're interested in learning about how to identify deciduous trees in the winter, please visit the above website for more details. There's a video guide and a downloadable PDF file that you can use to help advance your skills. Jenna, get out there and try and identify some trees.
Walk along here past Parakeet City.
Parakeet City we are coming up to, the 7th, I've learnt now. So I'll try and commit that to memory.
It's one of the perimeter paths around the golf course. So
yeah, so obviously we don't.
From that, so we're not actually putting ourselves in any danger.
No, and obviously you have to respect the bylaws, haven't you? Don't keep off the golf course. But there is a path, like you said, that runs around the outside through Parakeet Central and actually up through the bit of woodland that the volunteers and I have been working to actually revitalise. So you might have noticed, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of bay laurel that's been cut and stacked, and yeah, that's the progress we're doing at the moment. If you want to take a look.
Parakeet there. Certainly heard him.
So we're standing in a stand of beech and sweet chestnut.
There's a great spotted woodpecker up there.
Oh wow!
At the top of that, the third beech, right at the very top.
The one right at the very back?
Or? At the back, yeah. So this is 1, 2, 3, and then right at the top, you can just see the movement on the left-hand branch at the top of that tree.
Haven't spotted him yet.
So it's this one here with all of the sort of deep ridging.
Yeah,
and then right at the very top, it sort of forks to the left, and it's on the left-hand fork.
Can you still see it?
Yeah, only his head moving. It's going round. It just jumped onto another one. I don't know if you can. It's always the angle of where you are.
I know, I struggle with this loads. It's just like, oh, I've just seen him move. Oh, well, there's the characteristic bobbing flight, and I've missed the photograph.
I think it would have been hard there, Doug. It's a long way away.
It wouldn't have been a good clear shot, would it? The sweet chestnuts here, I mean, there's one that's I think completely dead that we're standing under right now. Someone's actually hung their headband on it. This is riddled with holes of both great spot and then probably conversions by the parakeets, because they don't actually make their own holes, do they, Liz?
No, they use ones that have been created either naturally by rotting branches or by the woodpeckers. Yeah,
because obviously they're a parrot. They've got like a nut cracking sort of beak, haven't they? They haven't got the slender pointed beak of a woodpecker. They can only, I mean, it's a very powerful beak, so it's good for like crunching away at an edge, but they cannot start a hole itself. So parakeets flying in. Oh wow.
It's always nice.
Wow.
When you go, and here is where you're likely to see a parakeet, and 3 come along.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost foolproof, isn't it? If you are struggling to spot the parakeets at Warley Woods, come to the edge of the 7th, obviously please use the paths, don't just stroll across the golf course, and you will almost certainly see one. Listen out for the squeaky toy sound, locate them and have a look. Oh, I love that beach there with the split out top.
We said goodbye to Parakeet City and headed along the track towards the car park.
What have we got there on the ground? Is that just a female blackbird? Or is it a thrush?
I think it's a thrush.
Now, we might have just spotted what I presume is a song thrush popping into some bramble scrub. Hopefully we'll get a sighting of it and be able to confirm it.
Which would be really great because they are a species that has declined, and we know we had a pair last year and we've done a breeding bird survey in this area.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, and so it would be lovely to see them here in the winter too.
Incidentally, if any of you guys actually want to read the breeding bird survey report from last year, it is available on the Trust website. But it's a very interesting read. Obviously, all the data was collected by Liz and her daughter Emma, and we're very grateful for that. And I've compiled the report, just trying to give you a bit of information about it. Oh, and a wren! Did you hear the call?
Yeah.
Always find it amazing how loud wren's song is. It's like, for the size of the bird, obviously, you know, one of the UK's smaller birds, it's so loud, belts it out.
I love that.
I think this is one of my favourite bits of the woods. I usually start my walks here, come out of the pavilion and take a walk down this path skirting outside of the golf course.
Yeah, me too. It is really good. It's got that variety. It's got a reasonable understory. You've got lots of birds and the ancient woodland to your right.
Yes.
So, and even the muddy path is excellent. You often get robins coming down and getting the worms and things from the mud, particularly in the winter. And do you know what? I have actually seen goldcrest in those trees before now, but
what's
today,
the trees in the
on the golf course? Yeah, it's only flown across. I don't count my blessings. I will stop looking for them anyway.
Yeah, you've got to stop looking. You won't. We're blessed with the bullfinches, but
Yeah,
we're not gonna. We're not.
Loads of nuthatches.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell. Stock dove or wood pigeon? Hard to tell from this.
From this angle, it's not been very helpful.
No, it's kind of like tucking its neck away, you know.
No, it's tucked all up. Very understandably, given the weather.
Oh yeah. Because you've got the wood pigeons have that white bit on their neck, don't they?
Yeah, the white collar and the stock dove stoats. It's
Yeah.
just that gleaming green and purpley sheen.
I love that pearlescent bit on them. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, teacher.
Yeah.
That's the call of the great tit you were talking about earlier.
Yes, definitely.
Quite clear.
Some people call it squeaky wheelbarrow as well.
Oh yeah, I can see that. So the wheel goes around. Yeah, I can see that. There it goes again. Well, this is very obliging blackbird. It doesn't seem very put off by it. I mean, what are we? 2 meters? We're talking 2 meters away from it, and it's happily getting on with its day. I mean,
having a real good forage in that.
having a real good forage.
And some of these blackbirds come from the continent in the colder times, and
so there's quite a decent migratory population as well.
Yeah, as well as the native ones that are here all year round.
Well, I guess you would, wouldn't you, if you lived in a colder part of Europe? You wouldn't want to stay there in the.
No, come and scavenge in the nice leaf litter in Warley Woods.
Yeah. Male blackbird foraging away. We're almost back where we started now.
Yeah.
Done a good circuit.
We have, but by this ancient oak here. They're such a great species, aren't they, for habitat?
And support so many, like I think 300 plus species can be linked to the oaks. So, I mean, I'm not going to list them all because I don't know them all for a start, but
We haven't got time, Doug.
ain't got time. But no, truly a keystone species, if ever there was one, you know, to be able to support so many extra organisms just by their mere presence.
And that's why as well it's important that we are planting some of these sorts of trees in the woods in the future, in the meadows and around the different areas, aren't we? To make sure that there will be future oak trees for future generations.
Yes, it is definitely essential that we keep making sure that the next generation are coming through. Obviously, what the saying is, small acorns grow mighty oaks. So I think at the Trust we do have a programme. We do collect acorns from the woods, and they are planted up in our tree nursery, which is hopefully getting an upgrade soon. Which will help us propagate, and these become sort of like the ceremonial trees and the name trees of the future that people can adopt, which helps the Trust out, and also, you know, puts a name to a tree in somewhere quite special.
Yeah, it's a lovely legacy to have. There you go.
We're seeing if there's any last minute additions to the rota. Maybe should we go through what we've seen, Liz?
Yeah. So I've got my list. I've been keeping it as we go.
So this is what you'd be doing in your garden at home?
It would be. So we've seen plenty of blackbirds. I think maximum at a time is we've just seen about 4 of them.
Yep.
Blue tits, again about 4 together, but lots of little clusters of 4.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Top one for us are 4 bullfinches in
yeah.
the wilderness.
Thank you for that as well. That's
Yay.
good.
And then we have the foraging chaffinches over by the Stones area.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a colt. Just heard another jay.
Yeah. On cue.
Sadly, as you would have heard, the quest for a gold crest has been unsuccessful so far, but we have spotted a couple of great spotted woodpeckers. Great tits, definitely. I've had 2 together, but again, we've seen that around.
We did hear one goldcrest calling. Whether that comes out on the recording, we don't know.
There's a jay.
Jay, they're getting closer.
It is. So we can spot that. That might be our final one. There he is. Look.
Oh, can't see him blind. Oh, I saw. Oh, where's he going?
He's gone behind that tree behind you, look.
Can I get a photo of the jay to finish? Oh, no, he's going off. He's flown out.
He has flown out, but he's stopped. He's alighted in that tree.
Can I get a photo from here? That's the question. Oh, he's quite an active jay. He's giving me a run. Giving me my run for my money.
Anyway, we can at least we've seen.
Yeah,
the
we've
jay,
seen the jay. I think he's.
We can add him to our list. And so magpies we've seen. A cluster of about 4 of those. Nuthatches are plenty, mostly in 1s and 2s. Plenty of robins, again they'd have paired up by now, so we've seen groups of 2 of them. And loads of nuthatches, as we say. Possibly a song thrush.
I know, it would have been better to get if only we got a better view on that one.
Yeah, definitely some wood pigeons.
Oh,
so about
robin's
6,
right behind us again. Hello. As always.
Up to 4 parakeets. But we know again that there's more of them in the woods. So
Oh, it's certainly, definitely a lot more in the woods.
15 crows.
50.
15, that was the most we got all together. Oh, look,
Is that a redwing?
And,
A redwing's just come through. Wow.
Again, like that.
I haven't ever seen them up here, to be honest. So that's quite good.
Yeah. And a redwing, twice. So yeah.
So the highlight for me was definitely the bullfinches, which I haven't yet actually. Well, now I have, but I hadn't before seen them here at Warley Woods. Obviously, I have seen a bullfinch before, but it's nice to actually see it where you work. That was my highlight. What about yours, Liz? What was your particular highlight of the?
I love redwings, so they're always a special, like the winter migrant thrushes. They're really, so I'm so glad we've had those sightings of those. But definitely the bullfinch is one of my top birds.
Yeah, so
and
beautiful.
So brilliant to be able to say, I saw it here yesterday, and then to show you.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about bird watching, to actually say to someone else, oh look at that, and sort of spreading the joy of actually seeing one of those key species.
Certainly. So try have a look for the bullfinches in the wilderness. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed this walk of the woods, and we've tried and put together something so it makes a bit more cohesive sense, but we've enjoyed doing it a lot, so hope to see you again sometime.
And just so you know, while Doug's recording this bit, we've got a robin literally a foot away from his boot.
Yes.
Just hopping around us.
Hopping away. It's very, I mean, to be honest, I've got a 50 to 500mm lens here with me, which I've been using to photograph. It's too close for me to be able to take a photograph of it. That's how close it is. It's literally, it would not focus that close. In a second, it might get on Liz's boot.
Thank you so much, Doug. It's been brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it too. I hope you guys enjoy it at home too. And get on the Big Garden Birdwatch. 29th to the 31st of this month.
Yeah, that's right.
You can download the packs from RSPB's website.
And you can do it online if that's your thing, or you can get a paper copy and just enjoy the birds and spread the joy of finding out about the wildlife.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Liz. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That concludes this year's Big Garden Birdwatch Walk from Warley Woods. I hope you've had as much fun listening as Liz and I had making it. I'd like to encourage each and every one of you now to go and get involved in the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch. It only takes an hour of your time, and you can do it from the comfort of your home. To find out more, please visit the RSPB's website at www.rspb.org.uk/get-involved/activities/birdwatch. Thank you.